You're sitting at home on a quiet September evening, maybe scrolling through your phone or watching TV, when suddenly the sound outside changes. At first, it's a distant rumble. Then, it becomes deafening, like 1,000 rocks crashing down on your roof. Within seconds, windows shatter, cars outside are pummeled, and hail the size of baseballs, some nearly 4 inches across, comes raining from the sky. Just a few miles away, entire neighborhoods are underwater as torrential rains turn streets into rivers. In Regina, Saskatchewan, people ran for cover as ice grenades tore through homes and vehicles. Meanwhile, in Steinbach, Manitoba, more than 5 inches of rain fell in less than 6 hours, flooding basements, drowning vehicles, and forcing families to flee by kayak through their own neighborhoods. This wasn't just a storm. This was chaos unleashed. Hail, floods, lightning, and destruction, all in a single night. For those living in the path, it felt like nature had declared war. Tonight, we take you inside one of the most violent late-season weather events Canada has ever seen. In Regina, the Queen City, the storm arrived with almost no warning. By 7:15 p.m., the skies darkened as if night had fallen early, and then the first hailstones began to fall, small at first, then growing larger with every strike. Within minutes, the city was under siege. Residents described the sound as rocks being hurled by giants, as ice chunks the size of golf balls. Then baseballs, pounded rooftops, skylights, and cars with terrifying force. One widely shared photo later showed a grapefruit-sized hailstone beside a shattered car window, an image that quickly went viral across social media. Entire neighborhoods looked like battle zones. In the Cathedral District, cars were left with spider-webbed windshields and cratered hoods. In Eastview, siding was ripped from homes, while gardens and trees were shredded into unrecognizable debris. At Southland Mall, the parking lot resembled a scrapyard. Glass glittering across the pavement, dented cars left abandoned by their owners who scrambled for cover inside. The storm's sheer violence shocked even seasoned meteorologists, who noted that late-season supercells of this magnitude are almost unheard of in September. Inside homes across Regina, the storm was not just heard, but felt, like a living force pounding against the walls. Mara Jensen, a Lakeview resident, recalled how the hail hammered her roof so violently that she thought it might collapse. It was like someone was throwing boulders at the house, she said. The skylight shattered above her dining room, sending shards of glass and chunks of ice across the floor. Her family huddled together in a hallway, covering their heads as the relentless drumming made it nearly impossible to hear the emergency alerts buzzing on their phones. Elsewhere in the city, families described scenes of panic and disbelief. Parents rushed their children into basements, while others could only watch as patio furniture was destroyed, and backyard gardens were ripped apart in seconds. In some neighborhoods, the storm was so loud that residents said it drowned out sirens and even the roar of thunder. For many, the terrifying reality was clear. This was not just a storm, it was nature at war with the city. As the hailstorm raged, the skies above Regina turned into a violent theater of light and sound. Sheet lightning ripped across the horizon, flashing so rapidly it felt like daylight flickering on and off. Some bolts struck power transformers, sending showers of sparks into the air before plunging neighborhoods into darkness. For a few moments, entire blocks were lit only by the eerie blue glow of exploding transformers, followed by the heavy silence of a blackout. Winds gusting over 60 miles per hour toppled trees like matchsticks and peeled shingles from rooftops. In some districts, power lines were ripped down, snapping like whips as they fell into flooded streets. The city's fire department was inundated with emergency calls, reports of live wires sparking in standing water, people trapped in stalled vehicles, and homes filling with icy rainwater. At the height of the storm, more than 7,000 homes across Regina lost electricity, leaving families huddled in candlelight as the storm roared outside. For many residents, the chaos felt apocalyptic. Videos shared on social media showed neighborhoods plunged into near-total darkness, punctuated by blinding flashes of lightning. One clip from Eastview captured the sound of children crying as their parents tried to calm them, while the winds howled outside, rattling windows already cracked by hail. It wasn't just a storm anymore. It was a test of endurance for an entire city. While Regina's neighborhood struggled through shattered glass and blackouts, the surrounding farmland faced its own disaster. The storm struck at the worst possible moment, just days before harvest. Fields of canola, wheat, and barley that had been ripening under late summer skies were shredded in minutes. Farmers woke to find crops beaten flat, stalks splintered, and once golden fields reduced to mush under a blanket of ice. Agronomists estimate that thousands of acres suffered partial to total loss, a blow measured not just in millions of dollars, but in months of backbreaking labor erased overnight. In the town of Zaner, farmer Derek Martins stood in what was left of his canola field, describing it as mulch after the storm. "We were days away from harvest. Now it's all gone," he told local reporters, his boots sinking into the waterlogged soil. For many, the financial fallout is staggering. Early assessments suggest insured agricultural losses could top $60 million, without even accounting for damage to barns, equipment, and storage silos battered by hailstones the size of baseballs. For rural families who depend on harvest income to carry them through the year, the destruction has left a sense of heartbreak and uncertainty. Beyond the numbers, it's the emotional toll, watching an entire year's work erased in a single night. That weighs most heavily. What was supposed to be a season of reward has instead become a season of reckoning. While Regina was reeling from shattered glass and crushed rooftops, another community hundreds of miles to the east was drowning under relentless rain. On the same night, Steinbach, Manitoba was hammered by nearly 5 inches of rainfall in less than 6 hours. More than 2 months' worth of precipitation in a single night. Streets turned into rushing rivers, homes filled with water, and public landmarks like the T.G. Smith Arena were left submerged. Families scrambled to salvage belongings from flooded basements, while animal shelters fought to rescue pets from rising waters. City officials described it as one of the worst floods in recent memory, overwhelming drainage systems, and forcing emergency crews to work around the clock. For residents, the emotional toll was just as heavy as the financial one. One mother described kayaking down her own street to bring supplies to her disabled daughter, a surreal scene that captured the desperation and resilience of the community. Farmers and small business owners, already struggling with economic pressures, now face tens of millions of dollars in losses. Experts warn that what happened in Steinbach is part of a troubling trend. Extreme rain events are no longer once in a century, but increasingly frequent. With warming air holding more moisture, these short, high-intensity storms are turning into disasters that test the limits of infrastructure and human endurance alike. Together, Regina's hail and Manitoba's floods paint a sobering picture of a climate system delivering shocks across Canada and serving as a warning to the rest of North America. From Regina's hail-shattered streets to Steinbach's flooded neighborhoods, Canada has become the latest reminder that nature's fury is rewriting the rules. One night brought 2 different disasters. Hail the size of baseballs pounding Saskatchewan, and torrents of rain drowning Manitoba. Families displaced, farms destroyed, and cities shaken. But the aftermath tells an even deeper story. In Regina, the morning revealed cars resembling crushed tin cans, gardens reduced to mulch, and homes pocked with holes as if under siege from artillery fire. Insurance adjusters were overwhelmed as thousands of claims poured in. Repair shops, already facing supply shortages from earlier storms, braced for months of backlogs. Roofing companies reported hundreds of calls within hours of sunrise, while glass replacement services saw their inventories vanish almost instantly. Residents wandered through streets still glittering with shards of ice and glass, some carrying pieces of hail as souvenirs, others silently staring at the destruction. Community groups mobilized quickly, organizing cleanup drives and setting up shelters for those whose homes had become unlivable. Local churches opened their doors for meals and temporary housing. For many families, neighbors became lifelines, offering generators, dry clothing, or simply a place to stay. In Steinbach, recovery was just as daunting but carried a different texture. Pump trucks worked tirelessly to drain submerged basements, while homeowners formed bucket brigades to clear out waterlogged furniture and soaked carpets. Mold specialists were dispatched almost immediately, knowing that just a few days of standing water could turn entire homes toxic. For small businesses downtown, the floodwaters swallowed merchandise, machinery, and inventory. Some owners admitted they may never reopen, as losses eclipsed what insurance could cover. The human stories rising from these twin disasters illustrate resilience, but also exhaustion. Parents spoke about the strain of explaining to children why their favorite toys or rooms were ruined. Farmers shared the heartbreak of walking through flattened crops, knowing the bills still needed to be paid. Elderly residents, many of whom had lived in these towns for decades, said they had never seen anything close to this level of destruction. Scientists warn that what we are witnessing is not random chaos, but a pattern connected to larger shifts. The combination of warm surface temperatures, high atmospheric instability, and lingering humidity created the perfect setup for Regina's supercell. Meanwhile, in Steinbach, those same conditions funneled moisture into an intense, slow-moving system that dumped nearly a season's worth of rain in hours. Climate researchers point out that Canada, often thought of as a land of snow and cold, is experiencing some of the fastest warming on the planet. This warming means bigger storms, stronger downpours, and longer wildfire seasons. For many watching from afar, the question isn't just how these towns will rebuild, but how communities across North America will prepare for what's ahead. Infrastructure built decades ago is already buckling under today's storms. Drainage systems designed for the past century can't handle the deluge of the present. Roofs, siding, and even farmland drainage are no match for the scale of supercharged weather events that are becoming more common. And yet, amid the destruction, stories of hope surfaced. Volunteers driving in from nearby towns with food, water, and blankets, farmers sharing equipment with neighbors who lost theirs, teenagers spending hours clearing debris for elderly residents. In Regina, one viral video showed a group of strangers lifting a tree off a crushed vehicle to rescue a trapped dog, its wagging tail a rare bright spot in a night of horror. Recovery will take months, if not years, and the scars will linger, both physical and emotional. For some, every thunderclap may now trigger fear. For farmers, every storm forecast may feel like a threat to their livelihood. And for city officials, every budget meeting will likely circle back to one urgent question: how do we build stronger, smarter, and safer for the storms yet to come. These aren't isolated events. They're part of a growing global pattern where storms hit harder, faster, and at times we least expect. For Americans watching, it's not just a Canadian story. These storms mirror the same extremes we've seen in our own backyard. Wildfires out west, flash floods in the south, and hurricanes tearing across the Gulf. The question is no longer if these disasters will come, but when and how prepared we'll be when they do. So, as cleanup continues north of the border, the warning is clear. Stronger storms are becoming the new normal. Will we adapt, or will we continue to be caught off guard? That answer may shape not only the future of Canadian towns like Regina and Steinbach, but communities across North America. Stay safe, stay prepared. And if you want to keep up with breaking stories of extreme weather around the world, like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, what's the most extreme weather you've ever witnessed?